Hello friends, welcome to the GATE lectures of Computer Science and Engineering. And as we were talking about the CPU scheduling techniques, the next and the important technique in this CPU scheduling is longest job first. This technique is also known as LJF, and in this technique the criteria of execution is burst time, and in case of burst time we will also consider the maximum amount of burst time which a process persists. We will be scheduling that process inside the Gantt chart which is having the maximum burst time. And this mode of execution is non-primitive, means if a process is scheduled inside the Gantt chart, we will not print that process in between. Means if a process is scheduled inside the system, then you need to schedule that process for the entire life of the process. Now consider this problem. In this problem there are total 5 processes, and with these processes their arrival time and the burst time is also given. Now in order to implement longest job first algorithm, what you need to create? You need to create a Gantt chart. So I am writing the Gantt chart for longest job first for this problem. Now as all the Gantt chart starts with 0 unit of time, in this case our Gantt chart will also starts with 0 unit of time. ठीक है, यहाँ पे आप ध्यान दीजिए. Now there are total 5 processes इनिशियली एट 0 अराइवल टाइम. कोई प्रोसेस सिस्टम में आती है कि नहीं हमें ये चेक करना पड़ेगा. सो देयर इज ओनली वन प्रोसेस इनसाइड द सिस्टम, दैट इज नथिंग बट P1. तो आप P1 प्रोसेस आपके सिस्टम में है तो उसको डायरेक्टली शेड्यूल कर सकते हो. सो आई एम शेड्यूलिंग दैट प्रोसेस, एंड as the execution is non-primitive, means if the process is scheduled inside the system, then that process should schedule for the entire life और the entire amount of burst time given for that process. अगर कोई प्रोसेस शेड्यूल होती है तो उसको कब तक एग्जीक्यूट करना है? जब तक उसका बर्स्ट टाइम खत्म नहीं हो जाता. तो P1 के करस्पॉन्डिंग बर्स्ट टाइम कितना यूनिट है? 3 यूनिट्स है. सो यू विल बी शेड्यूलिंग P1 फॉर 3 यूनिट्स. सो 0 + 3 विल बिकम 3 एंड दिस विल बिकम 0. नाउ एज P1 इज कंप्लीटेड, सो हमको देखना रहेगा कि 3 यूनिट्स तक कितने और प्रोसेस हमारे सिस्टम में आते हैं. सो P2 इज अराइविंग एट 1 यूनिट, P3 is arriving at 2 unit and P4 is arriving at 3 units. So total 3 processes are arriving in the system as P3 is completed till 3 units. अब हमको क्या करना रहेगा? We need to consider the burst time, and in this case or in the case of longest job first, you need to consider the maximum burst time. आपको क्या consider करना है? Maximum burst time. So see, P2 is having burst of 2 units, P3 is having burst time of 4 units, and P4 is having the maximum burst, that is nothing but 5 units. So what you can do, you can schedule P4 process for the entire life. तो मैं P4 को entirely execute करता हूँ, P4 को schedule करा रहा हूँ Gantt chart के अंदर. एंड कितने यूनिट का प्रोसेस था वो? 5 यूनिट्स का. तो 5 + 3 दिस विल बिकम 8. फाइन, यहाँ तक होता है. अभी इसके आगे हम देखते हैं कि और कोई प्रोसेस अराइव हुई है कि सिस्टम में कि नहीं. बाय द यूनिट 8 टाइम्स. तो 8 टाइम तक P5 भी हमारे सिस्टम में आ जाएगा एज इट्स अराइवल टाइम इज 4 यूनिट्स. सो इन बिटवीन समवेयर हियर 3 to 8 के बीच में कहीं पर यहाँ पर P5 विल ऑल्सो कम इनसाइड द सिस्टम. नाउ यू हैव टोटल 3 प्रोसेसेस, P2, P3 एंड P5. Now out of these 3 processes which should be scheduled, that depends again on the criteria of execution, and the criteria for execution in longest job first is maximum burst time. So see, P5 is having the maximum burst time out of these 3 processes and its burst time is 6 units. P5 का burst time maximum है जो कि कितना है? 6 यूनिट. तो आप P5 को शेड्यूल करिए Gantt chart के अंदर. मैं P5 को शेड्यूल करता हूँ एंड 6 यूनिट के लिए वो एग्जीक्यूट होगा. तो दिस विल बिकम 0 एंड 8 + 6 विल बिकम 14 हो जाएगा. ठीक है. Now as P5 is completed, now only 2 more processes are left, that is P2 and P3. only 2 process बचते हैं. P3 का burst time 4 units है, P2 का burst time 2 units है. So out of these 2 processes, P3 is having the maximum burst of 4 units. So you will schedule process P3 inside the system. and कितनी देर के लिए शेड्यूल होगा? वो entire life के लिए शेड्यूल होगा as the mode of execution is non-primitive. So 4 यूनिट के लिए शेड्यूल होगा तो this will become 18. P3 will schedule for till 18 units of time. Now P3 भी complete हो गया. लास्ट कौन सा प्रोसेस बचता है? The last left process is P2. So schedule that process, and वो प्रोसेस कितनी देर के लिए चलेगा? जितना उसका available burst है, that is nothing but 2 units. So this will become 20. So this is the answer for longest job first algorithm, and the completion time of all the processes. I am writing the completion time of all the processes. The process P2 is completing at 20 units of time. Process P3 is completing at 18 units of time. Process P5 is completing at 14 units of time. Process P4 is completing at 8 units of time, and process P1 is completing at 3 units of time. So these are the completion time of all the processes. And in this question you can also calculate the turnaround time and waiting time. The formula for turnaround time will be completion time minus arrival time, and the formula for waiting time will be turnaround time minus burst time. So you can calculate that stuff.